Good evening, everyone. I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 6, 2026. Mayor Impairveduto?
Here.
Mr. Bontempo is here. Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mr. Romano?
Here.
Mr. Vanderham?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If everyone will please stand up and join us for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence, please, for our men and women in uniform at home and abroad that keep us safe. Thank you. All right, so this is where we get to start off with the fun stuff, the fun part of the job. We have a proclamation here for the Homedale Cub Scouts. I'm going to read it for everybody. Whereas the mission of Cub Scouting aims to build character and leadership skills by focusing on a strong moral compass and community involvement, and whereas Cub Scouts live their lives according to the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Whereas Cub Scout Pack 131 participated in a nationwide food drive initiative to help support local food pantries, and whereas 2 weeks before Thanksgiving 2025, the Scouts of Pack 131 collected over 150 bags of non-perishable food items to donate to fulfill a local food drive by the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Homedale on this 22nd day of January 2026, that congratulations be extended to the Scouts and Cub Masters and Pack Leaders of Cub Scout Pack 131, both personally and officially, on behalf of the residents of the community for their outstanding achievements. Be it further resolved that a suitably engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the Pack as a small token of esteem in which they are held, and be it further resolved that all best wishes be extended to all for continued success in their future endeavors. Well done, everyone. You guys want to come up for a picture? Do we have the proclamation stand?
Just that one.
Just this one?
Yep.
Not all. These guys are ready to go.
Oh my God, they're so little.
Let's go, Gary.
We actually
Take a lot of pictures.
Yeah, say I already beat you to it.
That's so cute.
We'll get behind you guys.
Just barely.
Guys, come on down.
Slide behind you guys. Watch those boards.
That's right. Stand right here on the edge.
I give them one more up. You can make it whatever. Hey, you want to jump in?
Got everybody?
Johnny, look up.
You gotta get you on camera, man.
Johnny, look up.
We did it, guys. Wait, one more time. Go back one more time.
Chris.
functional. I can barely read my writing here. I start scribbling. All right. Finish letting everyone file out, and then we'll get moving. This job is fun once in a while, you know? Do some good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So before we move on to public comment on agenda items, there's something I want to address with the public. I don't know about quickly, but certainly something I want to address. We've been in deep discussions for quite some time with the owners of the Vonage property. Quite some time. And we have agreed to a framework that we think works for the town, works for everybody, in relation to the wastewater concerns on the property. And the agreement that we have, I'd say verbal, Counselor, is that the best way to say it? Verbal framework?
There was a memorializing framework exchanged that we could outline once we're done outlining
Okay.
everything.
Okay. I need to rely on you to make sure I don't get myself in trouble here. So, we had some options, right? In speaking with the owners of the property, there were only two viable, from our vantage point, paths forward. Now, I want to be very clear. Everything I'm saying here and any discussion we have pertains to the discussions we've had with the owners. There's no relation right now, or in any way, shape, or form, to the decision the planning board has to make. But we knew.
That's a great point, Mayor. In that respect, everything that we're discussing here relates to the township's role as the redevelopment agency of the township and the redevelopment agreement between the township committee and CHA. This has no bearing on the planning board, which operates separately and we can't discuss or lean upon.
Right. So quite some time ago, I sat down with some folks that had very detailed, and I'm not going to mention names, I don't know if they want their names mentioned, but I was impressed with the work they did in their analysis of the wastewater treatment plan and the potential issues there. And over the past couple of years now, or whatever it's been, Committeeman Foster's been, former mayor and now Deputy Mayor Foster, had been talking to the owners, and I've obviously become re-engaged as well in a different way. There were only two viable paths forward in a way that we would feel comfortable. One would be an entirely new package plant with a 4-acre leach field, and that certainly could have been an option, but it doesn't necessarily, given the size and the scope of that thing, doesn't really take anything. It takes the antiquated component of this thing off the table, but not. But it doesn't resolve, from our vantage point, all the issues. The other option was, and the option that we intend to pursue, should this go through planning board and should we complete the diligence we look to complete, is to install a force main on the property and have a sewer line connect to the Bell Works property. Now, I want to be very, very, very clear. Because we allow for this project to happen in this way, meaning because we allow for a force main on their property and we take a sewer and we connect that to the sewer line at Bell Works, this in no way, shape, or form, sets a precedent for further development in South Homedale, sets a precedent for more affordable or high density housing. This is a one-off that we can allow through the authority we have through the redevelopment process. So, knowing that, based on all the discussions we've had with attorneys, environmentalists, engineers, and everyone in between, this takes environmental concerns completely off the table, in no way allows for an additional development risk, if you want to call it that, in South Homedale, because the pipe will only be small enough to handle Vonage, and because it's going to be deed restricted, the force main, or are we going to, it's effectively going to be deed restricted, which means only that property can use it. We don't see any incremental risk to the town or development by going down this path. So, From our vantage point, the force main and the connection to the sewer line eliminates all concerns around environment. So the next question is, what do you do in the meantime, right? These guys are going to want to start building if this gets past planning and things go the way they hope. And there's still a package plant there. Well, they've agreed to spend $1 million to decommission the package plant completely. And while they're in the midst of a build-out process, any wastewater will go into above-ground tanks that get shipped off the property while we're building. So, in fact, from an environmental perspective, this will be better than it's probably been in years, ever since the waste was redirected into the stream. Because there will be no wastewater on the property whatsoever, hitting the environment or seeping into the ground or anything of that nature. So, the solution, the framework of the solution we proposed is the force main, which does not put the town at any incremental risk for development, a complete elimination of the existing package plant, and a intermediate solution to keep any wastewater in above ground tanks and shipped off the property while the development begins to take shape if this proceeds. In terms of cost and how this is being covered, when you look at the entirety of the cost of this effort, it's around $6.5 million. Well, we take off $1 million because they're going to decommission the package plant. That's part of the additional cost, right, to be very clear. So now you're down to, so what's our need to achieve? Well, the need to achieve was $5.5 million. Homedale Township has, and every township has, a trust fund for COA, for affordable housing. Now that trust fund is approaching $8 million, and the state has a right to take it from us. Okay? So we have to use it on something. And I want to be clear about something else. This is not an affordable project. This is a project that has some affordable elements to it that help us fulfill our Trenton mandated obligations. There's a very, very big difference. Okay? But because we have some elements in there that count towards our credits, we believe we can use, we're confident we can use 20% of the total cost against the cost of this out of our COA trust fund. So if you take the 6.5 million down to 5.5 million for the decommissioning, take down another 1.3 million, which is 20% of the complete cost. Now the need to achieve on expense on this, on funding this, is $4.2 million. That $4.2 million will be covered by CHA Partners, the ownage of the Vonage property, through a special assessment. That special assessment will complete, the need to achieve, if you will, for the funding of this project. No money will come out of taxpayer pocket. To be clear, the trust fund we are leveraging was funded by developers for purposes such as this. And if we don't use it, we run the risk of losing it. So, we were fortunate that we had that lever to pull. And this has been a long time coming. This didn't happen overnight. Deputy Mayor Foster worked hard on this for a year. There's discussions that happen that you got to be careful with the process and everything else going on to make sure you don't unnecessarily interfere with things, and and just make sure you get to a point where you're comfortable even articulating a potential solution. So, with that all said, what this allows us to do is put forth a motion. Should I get into that now, or do you want to jump in on anything?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay. So it allows us to put forth a motion this evening that to amend the redevelopment agreement to allow for this deal pending further diligence. So I want to be clear, we're comfortable announcing this to everyone here tonight because we've made material progress. To Mike Collins' point, we have it memorialized from the owners via email, that the framework works for all parties. And I'd say most importantly, it works for the town. This is a project, to remind many people, that will dedicate 5 acres to a fire and EMS hub in South Homedale, that will have a 7,000 square foot senior center for all Homedale residents, that will increase green space on the property far beyond what it is now, and will have almost no impact on infrastructure given the nature of the development itself as a 3-stage assisted living facility. So with that said, we can take the step this evening to vote on a motion to amend the redevelopment agreement pending further diligence between our attorneys and our engineers, and then when it's time to vote to approve, as long as we've made the progress, we'll see what progress we've made and if it's to everyone's satisfaction to approve or not. Is that a fair encapsulation?
Absolutely, Mayor. And the only 2 items I'd add is that as part of the agreement, CHA will apprise the planning board of this development and ensure that their application is reflective of the use of this force main proposal rather than the current application presumptions. And I would suggest that the motion be consistent with, authorize entry into a redevelopment agreement amendment consistent with what you just put on the record, Mayor, subject to final negotiation and approval by the township attorney.
Thank you, Counselor. So with that said, can I have a motion to amend, to have an amendment to the redevelopment agreement?
Moved.
Second.
Can we do a vote, kiddo?
Mr. Bontempo? Mr. Bontempo?
So I'm going to pass.
Mr. Foster?
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes, I think this is a great thing.
Mr. Vanderham?
Yes.
Mayor Improviduto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So, moving on to public comment for agenda items only. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss within the agenda? Yes, Ms. Blumenthal.
Hi, Jenny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. My question is so immaterial in comparison to what you just said that it seems silly to stand up here and ask it. But on the consent agenda tonight, there's a item 2026 number 44 and another one 2026-52, both making an arrangement with the county to provide senior citizen van services. What's the difference between them? I mean, I read the first one and I scanned the second one, and the second one was pages longer, but it sounded like they were identical.
Gents?
Which resolutions?
44, 52.
44 and 52. Authorizing an agreement between Homedale Township and the County of Monmouth for the Ride in Monmouth program. And 44 said, formally SCAT, senior citizen in automotive transport or something.
Yeah, senior citizen. Yeah, it sounds
We don't
right.
know what it is. A little van comes to take seniors to doctor's appointments and stuff, but
But-
why two?
Attack team? Senior citizen attack team? No.
The clerk isn't with us tonight, but the deputy clerk
She's
believes
standing there with her mouth
the deputy
open.
clerk believes it's an accidental duplicate. So.
Clerical error, so why don't we strike out?
Both Wendy and I worked on the agenda separately. I think we had some
The other one's
repeats
longer,
here.
it has more ifs, and the car must have gas in it and must have license plates and stuff, but.
All right. So we'll pull 52 and vote on 44? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jenny.
It was pretty silly in comparison.
Clerical error, our clerk's on vacation. Any other public comment? Yes, Mrs. Von Tempo.
Brought to my attention. Emery Bontempo, 22 Grandview Drive. I'm talking in reference to agenda item that addresses the mosquito control division to conduct aerial mosquito control operations, 2026-45. I understand this is an agreement that's been going on for decades between the Monmouth County Board of Health and the township. However, there are newer residents since I've been here, and it was brought to my concern by some of them about spraying pesticides. And as you know, we're all concerned about our health and what we're exposed to. It does say here that the county will notify the police department of each municipality over aerial pesticide operations that are planned prior to the commencement of such operations. Would it be possible, or is it possible, for the public and residents of Homedale to be made aware in a way so that they know and what to do when pesticides might be sprayed over their homes? So is it an option of staying inside, not playing outside, not being in your pool, so there's a reduced exposure for our community?
Chris, I think we can do that.
Yeah, well, wow, it's on. I'm not used to that. You change things. There's a lot of changing going on around here. Wendy's not going to be happy with you. No, I will make sure that when we're notified, we'll get out we'll actually send out a reverse 911 to let everybody know what's happening. Our PI will take care of that. And actually, what I'll do is I'll get some more information on this, so we can put it on our website. So, you know, what they need to do, if there's any concerns, what kind of pesticides they're using, stuff like that. The county surely will help us with that. So I'll reach out tomorrow and have that taken care of.
Okay. And spraying isn't going to be done until the springtime.
Yeah, they're not doing anything now. They're waiting for when the the standing water, that's what they're looking for, because you know, that's when we have our problem. So, but I'll get more information on it, make sure it's up on the website so everybody can take
Will
a
it be a
look.
specific area? Like,
Yeah,
will
we'll
it be
put it
under?
on. Yeah, we'll put it probably under the somewhere on the front page right now, and then we can just, you know, guide you around from there. But I'll talk to our PIO, and when we send something out about it, we'll also put it on our social media, so you also see it there. So hey, where to look and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Chris, do you think we could post the SDS form as well so that the residents can see the chemical being used?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to see what the county has on this, and we'll find out tomorrow. I'll have actually Brian O'Malley check into that tomorrow, and it'll all be done.
Okay, see, one more public comment. Yes, Mr. G. And the young lady in the back after you, sir.
This is a joke first. My name is Patrick Trashia, and I support your motion. No. Kinji, 8 Street. I do support the motion to, obviously, to change and revise the redevelopment agreement. I'm a little bit in shock, I gotta tell you, in org. I think that's kudos to you guys for making that, making the changes and going through all that discussions, and that's really fantastic. It's the right thing to do for the community, and you know, a lot of us, we come up here and we make our public comments, and you know, you may or may not like some of the criticism, but when you guys do the right thing, we gotta come up and say the same thing too. So I gotta give you guys credit. That's the right thing. Now, the devil's in the detail. So you guys know that I am concerned a little bit with the financial arrangement, but that's not your issue, that's their issue. But so I just want to say, really, I completely support this. I do think that you guys heard the residents, heard the concerns, because otherwise I think the potential contamination from that existing wastewater management plant is a major, major concern. So thank you, you guys, and good job.
Thank you.
Kelly Witkowski, 5 Silver Beach Court. I also wanted to thank you for making this change. I think that's a really big improvement and assuages a lot of the concerns that many of the citizens had. Just wanted to ask one clarification, because I understood the trust fund and I understood the $1 million for, you know, getting rid of the existing plan. I didn't quite follow what the special assessment for the 4.2 million is. Can you please explain how that works?
Better at it than I.
Thanks.
So, sure. So a special assessment is a mechanism where the township is able to impose an added tax upon specific properties that are benefited from a public improvement. So in this case, the force main would only benefit the Vonage property and, you know, the various units that are established as a result of the project. So the $4.2 million will be financed by bonds that the township will issue, and the township's intent is to finance the $4.2 million issuing bonds through the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. Once that's done, the township will obviously pay the debt service because it'll be a township bond, but the intent is to assess those units in the amount of $200,000 per year, which is what the debt service will be if you float the bond over 30 years at the interest rates we anticipate receiving. So essentially, the township's debt service will be fully paid for by those unit owners in the form of that added assessment.
They cover the cost of the bond in its entirety, or the remainder of it in its entirety.
It's essentially a payment on top of the pilot that would have to be made by the people subject to the assessment, the unit owners. I'm sorry?
So the net is 0 to the town.
Correct.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chiskita?
I am not Ken G. I am the real Patrick Triskita up here. I wasn't going to congratulate you for this new solution, but since I'm up here, I'm going to congratulate you for an excellent solution. There was never any environmental issue from the Vonage, but this, having a forced main to Bellworks, they'll make them both work pretty good. What I was going to say is I'm in full support of the resolution to purchase a new ambulance for the first aid squad. That's going to help every household in this community, that we have 4 modern ambulances that are available with the fully equipped, ready to help our residents. Next thing I fully support is the resolution on the Robert Wilson, the grant for the horn antenna. Hopefully that could be used to make Robert Wilson Park open to the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ron, and while he's coming up, Chris, can we, and I don't recall, my email was down for some reason today. Well, everyone's was, right? Can we just get the numbers, to the point about the new ambulance, on the combined efforts of our awesome, and I mean that sincerely, EMS volunteers and MedStar and what that looked like? I don't think we missed a call in like 10 months or something.
Yeah, with the combined, there hasn't been a missed call. I just have to, I don't have the numbers in front of me now. I would have to get them. They were supposed to be gotten. I don't know if they sent them to you or not.
Yeah, I didn't see them. I might have missed it.
I'll follow up tomorrow. I'll make sure we have them out. And we'll get that out to everybody as well. We'll actually post them as well on our. We can get it out to everything. We'll get it out to social media as well.
Correct.
So we can get out. We'll do.
That'll be good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi. Kudos to what everyone said about the news tonight. That's really, really good news. Ron, I'm at 32 Ladwood Drive. I'm actually here to contradict the previous speaker on agenda item 2026-50 about the new ambulance. My question is, why do we need 4 ambulances when we have 3 state-of-the-art ambulances already, and our EMS was farmed out to the county?
Well, sorry, I just want to just hold that for 1 sec, Ron. Our EMS wasn't farmed out to the county. We have our own EMS staff.
Well,
it's supplemented by the county.
Let me restate that. One, by supplementing it with the county, one could assume that the calls that our volunteers are making have been cut. If it's 9 to 5, 7 to 7, whatever it is, the number of calls has to be decreased.
That's not the case, and I don't
Well,
have
if
the
we
numbers.
got the numbers, that would be helpful.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Okay,
But
that's
let me-
great. That's
okay.
perfect.
But let me just be clear. The county supplements when we don't have coverage. That's all. One of the challenges we've had is the number of calls has far outpaced our ability to recruit and cover, all the days and times that we have.
So then why
the
do we
number
need 4 ambulances? That's $400,000. It leads me to my second point about expenditures that are on the consent agenda. That's $400,000. You had one last year when you farmed out the dispatch. That was over the life of it was over $1 million, and it was on the consent agenda. Can we come up with a way that an expenditure, whatever the number is, 200,000, 250, 300, is not just put on a consent agenda? I would suggest that we call the president of the EMS to come here next meeting and explain exactly why he needs a 4th ambulance. It's a lot of money, and I just don't think it should be approved willy-nilly when there's a question of how many calls they're actually doing and why do we need 4.
So in fairness, and I hear your point, you've raised it before.
Yeah.
I don't know that setting an arbitrary number for consent agenda does anything. Nothing's hidden. You saw it,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Like we've all seen it. We saw it. So nothing's hidden there, Ron. I don't know what setting an arbitrary number actually does. For anything.
But wouldn't you say that the consent agenda traditionally has been used for paper clips and staplers and computers? An expenditure that big should be talked about, I think. That's all. Whether it's this vehicle or it's a new dump truck or new garbage truck, it's a big ticket item, and I would like to see a mechanism where it's not on the consent agenda. I mean, it could be completely valid, but let's talk about it. Let's put it out there, and let's talk about it. Let's have the head of the DPW come and explain why he needs 4 new trucks, why he needs a new garbage truck, why the EMS needs a new ambulance. That's all. I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying, let's talk about it. And then maybe we can put a mechanism in place that could do that.
I understand. And I'd argue we are talking about it. But I understand your point. I'm being a little flip with you, but I understand your point. Chris, it seemed like you had something
Yes,
you wanted
so
to say.
I do want to. So this is replacing a 2016 ambulance, which is 10 years old. It is you did have a chance to speak about it, actually. You guys passed this through ordinance in 2024, meaning that it was passed under a bond ordinance, and then there was a public session following that, so it went over 2 meetings. This is old money. This is money that we've already gotten. They just haven't spent it yet. So this is just approving the actual purchase, but there was a public hearing for this ambulance done in 2024.
2024.
Correct.
That doesn't mean we have to spend it, though, right?
Well, they waited to get what they have to do, but you got to understand that it's a 10-year-old ambulance. By the time we get this one, we're looking 2 years down the road. It takes 2 years to build. So therefore, it'll be 12 years old by the time we're done. My intention, and might not have been my predecessor's intentions, but my intention is every time we buy something, we sell what we're getting rid of. So that will be sold for auction, so those monies will go back into our coffers. But honestly, these ambulances they have changed over the years, and this is a 2016. There's also a 17 that we did hem and haw over. I didn't, but my predecessor did with committee members during our budget process, where we have separate meetings with department heads. And one of the things that was found out was they were looking for 2 ambulances. And it was scheduled because there's a 17 right after the 16. So now they did not get the second ambulance. They didn't get that approved.
Isn't it true that it's not a whole ambulance? It's the truck, it's the chassis and the ambulance part. So there's 2 parts to the ambulance. So the actual mechanical part might be 10 years old, but the body of the ambulance, which you ride in, is actually still state of the art. Is that not accurate?
It could be, but it doesn't.
Pat, you might know that.
But it doesn't. Well, I've been an EMT for 30-something years. I was a captain of a first aid squad, and I want to tell you that it is not state of the art. They do change significantly in a 10-year period, and on top of it, to remount an ambulance or remount that is not worth the money.
But that's what we've done in the past, is it
It's
not?
still not worth them. I don't know if that's what you've done. It's definitely not worth the money. It doesn't. The cost savings isn't there, and you're at that point. At least now you have that other ambulance available to do calls with. If you remount, you're talking 6 months without it.
I'm just sticking to my original comment. It would be nice to know what the mileage is on those ambulances, and that $400,000 for a 4th ambulance.
I understand
with
what
a
you mean
reduced
by-
number of calls.
No,
potentially.
hold on. I have to correct you because I did it once already. It's not a reduced number of calls. The number of calls are increasing.
To supplement what we have.
We're supplementing an increased amount of, calls are increasing and they're being supplemented if we don't have coverage. So you can't say, it's not correct.
But
to say it's a reduced
Mr. Mayor,
number.
you just said we can't cover the calls that we have, so that's why we're supplementing with the county, but yet we're adding another ambulance, which we can't even fill 3. We're getting a 4th one.
Well, we've also added more
But
recruits.
we've already got it money allocated for it.
Well, we've also added more recruits. It's not like recruiting has stopped, right? Actually, I think they might have more than they've had in quite some time. That's popped. The county only steps in when there's a need for supplementation, if I'm correct, Deputy Mayor, right? So what that is, what level that is contingent upon our ability to cover. We have more people. We have more calls. We bonded 2 years ago for an additional ambulance. It's going to take us time to even get it done. Calls aren't going to go down. We've got 17,000 people in town. So I just want to be very clear. MedStar only comes in if and when there's a need for supplementation. The need for supplementation tends to decline the more your recruitment goes up. Recruitment has gone up. But again, I publicly asked for numbers related to MedStar and our EMS prior to you coming up here because it was top of mind and I didn't see it come through on my email.
And let me be clear, I am not criticizing our great EMS. I'm just criticizing maybe the need for one, that's all. Thank you.
Chief, is it accurate our squad took a record number of calls again this year? Thank you. Great job.
Right there, and then Mrs. Principi after her.
Hi, Victoria Scana-Lavino, 8 Hidden Hollow. I echo Kinji's comments and devil in the details. But since I have an opportunity to speak, and there are no questions really, I did want to mention something, and it may be controversial. I'm questioning the need for a planning board when it comes to large-scale engagements like this one. Perhaps the 1 and 2 houses that they may approve and have enough information to make a decision on. But I feel they fell short in everything that they did in any analysis or due diligence because we found everything and brought it to them. Meeting after meeting, several hours, and we would hear comments either in the breaks or not. of how many hours they had to sit through and listen to it, questioning whether they could do anything at all. Coming here, listening to Mr. Foster say, they're advising us, but when we go there, they're not really doing anything. They're not doing additional due diligence. We were bringing the due diligence to them. So either I encourage you to come up with new rules and plans for the planning board and actually list out what they should be doing, guardrails of what the expectation is of the role, to actually look at if it's healthy or not healthy, good or bad, versus say that their hands are tied. I have found two things, law in the New Jersey law, as well as in our own plans, that requires them to be able to say, you know, this doesn't feel right. I should talk to town council about this, as opposed to my hands are tied. And we, the residents, keep bouncing back and forth between the meetings. A lot of time could have been spent on some other things versus this specific topic. I am happy at this result, again, devil in the details, but I think you need to reconsider the rules or the guidelines the planning board has, because it's not working and it's a waste of their time and our time. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
So I'm going to respond as best I can for a moment, and then, Counselor, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can, as you always do, correct me if I misrepresent. We have no control over whether or not there's a planning board, nor do we have control over the rules with which they engage. They're their own semi-judicial body. Am I correct in saying that? You know, that said, you know, they have specific parameters they have to work within, to my knowledge, and that's their sort of lot as volunteers. And so, sorry.
Who decides that?
Who decides
Who
what?
decides what their guidelines are if they're their own body and you're appointing them?
Sure. So the governing body by ordinance establishes a planning board if it wants to have zoning. So I believe every single municipality in New Jersey has a planning board, and the planning board is then governed by the municipal land use law. It's NJSA 40:55D, and so you can look through there, and everything's in there. And
I
so,
have,
yeah.
and if they're not upholding the plan guardrails, who gets to tell them or say, get lost?
I'm certainly not going to.
I'm just saying,
As
like,
I respond, I'm
it's-
not concurring
I'm just
with that
saying
position.
it's broken,
I mean, what I
right?
can tell you is that if you have any specific concerns about the planning board, you could go to their meetings, you could engage in their public comment, and I would imagine that if there's any legal concerns about the planning board's actions, those are subject to review in court. But the Township Committee does not have oversight over the planning board. It doesn't serve as a kind of a superseding review body. Because they act in a quasi-judicial capacity. They're supposed to neutrally review an application and apply the law to it. The governing body is much different as a policy-making body.
Okay, I think it fell short, and I'm not sure if you listened to any of the videotapes of the planning board session, but last week, I don't want to get it wrong. Last week, the town council engineer consultant confirmed on record they did not review the material the developer submitted to them prior to you approving the renewal agreement. It was on, I don't know, one of the guys that sat here. I couldn't catch his name, but it's in the thing. So if they're now relying on consultants and engineers that we've hired, and yet they didn't do their due diligence, they feel their hands are tied, and you're waiting on them to make a suggestion for you on what you should do, it's like one big circle of getting nowhere. Something's broken.
Thank you. Mrs. Principi.
Mary Ellen Principi, 62 Bethany Road. I just want to know who's getting the new Mustangs. And what are they being used for?
So they're actually on state contract. They're electric. So one's being used to replace a 2008 Crown Victoria that is being used by our inspectors, and the other one's replacing a used small Toyota Tacoma with only 2 seats and doesn't have any storage. So instead of buying vehicles for just gas vehicles, we're trying to go green. So part of the initiative for the green team for 2026 is to start getting a electric fleet. So instead of having gas vehicles, we got 2 electric vehicles. So they're not really, I mean, I would call them Mustangs. I don't know if you've ever seen them before. Yeah, Ford calls them Mustangs. I don't even think they look like, I think they're a bubble. They look like a bubble, but they're really good, and the price was really, I think they were like $40,000. Yeah, $42,000, which is less than we pay for like the Explorers we used to buy. We replaced, it was like almost $20,000 less. So this is a new initiative. We're trying to go green a bit. I can't do it for every car, but for inspectors and for cars that are used for IT and stuff like that, when we go to different buildings and stuff, it's big enough to hold their equipment, but not too big that it's costing us a lot of money. It'll save us money in the long run. So.
And my second question is going back to the planning board. The chairman, something needs to be done with him. He's been rude, he's been arrogant, and the way he talked to somebody that came up, he shouldn't be on the board. I'm sorry. And whoever appointed him, get him off there. I agree with my previous speaker. It's horrible.
Look,
I don't know if you looked at the tapes. He called the guy a moron and an idiot. Would you do that?
I don't know, was he? I'm counting.
Whether he was or wasn't. It's
I
not
listen.
up to him to do that.
To what?
The Mustang back and forth to work on.
Yeah, well, but you know, I work from my basement. I hear you. Look, I think I also think it's important, and I mean this sincerely. I also think it's important that people understand, everyone on the planning board or the zoning board or the environmental committee or the finance committee or whatever it may be, these are all volunteers doing the best they can. And I'm not, I wasn't there, I wasn't sitting up there, but they are genuine people doing the best they can. They volunteer to contribute, and they sometimes they get put in sort of this crucible, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that a little grace can be extended, if people misspeak or
It's been every meeting.
Okay. Well, look, I can't speak to that, but I think it's important to remember that these are your neighbors. They volunteered, and sometimes things get to folks. Things happen, and I think that again, extending a little grace isn't the worst thing in the world.
It was wrong.
Listen. I can't comment on what was said or not. You understand that. I wasn't there, and I can't, as a member of this governing body, start imparting my opinion on comments that were made, planning, zoning, things of that nature. So I'm just telling you, so I can't do that.
I agree.
Right?
I agree with you.
But I'm just, but my singular point is
where
just
can
that.
we go to complain about him then? If we can't come to you, where can we go?
You certainly can come here. Whether we can say anything in response is a different story, but you're more than welcome
But
to
we're
make
making
your comment.
complaints.
No, I'm not trying to be...
You're saying you can't do anything. So who do we go to make a complaint?
I actually truly don't know.
I mean, I think if you're making a complaint about, the board membership, the mayor does appoint the board membership. So if anyone wants to comment upon that here, you're welcome to. We may not be able to say anything in response, but your comments are certainly heard.
So maybe we should go to like the news or something. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I got two hands. Sure.
Yeah, I'm the planning board chairman. Okay. And let me say something.
You should address the dais.
You got to speak to the mayor.
Scott Silberman, 25 Eli Road. Okay. Being a volunteer on the planning board has been a thankless job. I've had.
Guys, listen, honestly, folks,
See, everyone wants the respect of the hearing, but when it's other people's turn to speak, they can't control themselves.
I think, and just before you continue, I hear everybody, folks have said their piece. Mr. Silberman's going to speak, and then we'll move on to whatever the next item is. I don't want this to become a shouting match.
Right. And I'm just saying, for several meetings, I've been called a piece of work. I've been called names in the social media that I've been told. I've been abused. My kids come home from school giving me stuff. All I try to do is run a meeting in accordance with the laws of the municipal land use law. It's very simple. It's being respectful. It's listening, answering questions, and not making statements. It's not being belligerent. It's not about yelling at me. It's not about yelling at the witnesses. It's you're coming to the planning board for help, and then you yell and scream, thinking that's going to get your point across. And when you sit up on the stand there, Mayor, and believe me, I wanted to quit in November because I was tired of being abused by the people of this town, who I consider some of them to be my friends. And I'm doing everything here in this town in the best interest of the town. And whether it would be you sitting in that seat or anyone else sitting in that seat, my goal is to represent and be an unbiased overseer of the facts and rule on what the laws present. It's not what I think or what my opinion is. It's what the rules of the state of New Jersey and the Township of Homedale provide for. And that's all I could do as. And yes, if you want me to say, I will apologize to that guy who I made that comment on. But the guy came up. I wasn't going to allow public questions. He begged me to do it. He wouldn't listen to me. He screamed at me. He screamed it here. And I called him that name. And I do regret saying that name because I thought it was off mic. So to him, I will apologize because that's not my character. And it's been very hurtful. And I do care about the drinking water. I do care about this town. And it's been a very emotional ride for me for the past several months. And it hasn't been fun. And you guys should think about that I'm a human being up there. And I don't like to be screamed at and yelled at and be told all these things. It's very hurtful when I really have the best interests of this town in my heart. So with that said, that's why I came here tonight. And I'm very happy that the town has come to a resolution, which I've been supporting.
I'll issue my disclaimer that I've issued to the other planning board members who have come to the podium that I don't represent you. Your planning board attorney does, but, you know, if you're segueing into the merits of an application, I'll
No,
defer
I'm not.
to, yeah,
I'm not.
okay, so let's not do that.
I'm just saying I'm glad, but there's only so much I can do in that chair. I have to follow the rules and the guidance of the attorney that represents the planning board and my professionals, and that's all I could do. So for you guys to be all angry with me and posting videos and doing things on social media, it's very hurtful. So at some point, everyone has their breaking point. And yeah, maybe I broke that night, and I do apologize for that and to that individual. But it's not, you guys should really take a step back and try and look at it from other people's point of view once in a while. That's all I have to say.
Scott, how long have you been serving on the planning board, and how long have you been engineer? Did you hear my question, Scott?
Well, I've been on the planning board 3-4 years, and I've been a licensed engineer for almost 35 years.
At least I served a year with you on the board, and we had a lot of discussions while we were there on the planning board. I thank you for your service to town.
Mrs. Bontempo.
Ann Bontempo, 22 Grandview Drive. Scott, thank you for your time on the board. I know it's hard to be up there and get it back and forth. To the board, I just want to point out, in the original redevelopment agreement that was from 2024, the site plans that state where phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 were going, I was privileged enough to go on the walk last Saturday to see the wastewater treatment plant. I know you've made a moot point, but I just want to draw to everyone's attention the location of the sprayer fields that was outlined is between the softball field and the parking lot. All right. The CHA developer was asking for a grandfathered permit on the wastewater treatment plant. And still to date, that's where it stands because nothing has officially changed yet. However, the exact location where that field is, which is part of the 1977 grandfathered wastewater treatment plant, the aeration field, is exactly where phase 3 is meant to be. Well, on my papers, I have phase 3. I can point it out to you. A building is going right on top of the sprayer fields. I want to know, this was approved, or this redevelopment plan was designed in 2024, in 2 years. Multiple engineers have looked at these designs and these plans that are more qualified than I am. It took me one afternoon to figure out that they were putting a plan together, a building, on top of their grandfathered wastewater treatment plans. This is a game changer. Other than what you said today, Rocco, this is just one thing I found. Not even looking very hard. The public is going to be very wary moving forward on anything to do with this development.
Well,
And I think the public should have time to review any changes that the TC feels fit to make, just to give us our due diligence, because we do it, and we have been doing it. And I think we should be granted enough time to continue doing it. Because I have questions about a forced water main. Who's going to, 10 years down the road, be responsible for it? I have other questions that are bouncing around in my head. But
Listen, we welcome all questions, and we'll be all we did tonight was, make a motion to amend the redevelopment agreement. There's other votes that are going to have to happen. This has to go through planning board anyway. To your point, I am hopeful, based on where we are in the discussions, that your point is moot, as you mentioned. But the other questions that come up, we'll answer them as you have them. We'll
2
handle it.
years, not one engineer said, oops. They're going to build something right on top of the wastewater management treatment plant structures or components. How is that possible? Our engineers? Their engineers? 2 years.
Thankfully.
Qualified individuals could not find it.
Yeah.
I'm a nurse, and I found it in one afternoon.
Well done. I think thankfully thankfully and with hope, it will not be an issue any longer.
So maybe when I put an application in to be a volunteer on a planning board, I'll get accepted.
It's possible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the back. We should be. Yeah.
Yes, you are. Peter Franco, 5 Hot Brook. Guys, thank you for your decision tonight. It's a big rest on our shoulders. But you still have a lot. You still have a lot to do for us.
We're aware.
All right. The question I'm going to ask is, who is going to own the force main?
That will ultimately be deeded over to us, Chris. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when we discussed this, that was one of my main concerns. We're going to own both the pump station and the force main.
The town will own it?
The town's going to get possession of it once it's done. So we will maintain it as we maintain our others. It's going to be way better than the ones we have now because they're much newer. It'll be state of the art, but we're going to maintain it as well.
So we already have a mechanism.
They're going to pay for the maintenance of
The
that?
maintenance of it is going to be just included in what we have, and we talked to our current contract. We have a shared service, and that's going to be the least amount of maintenance, mostly filter changes, maybe some pump work, but it's going to be very low. The ratepayers take care of that, just like the other ones we have now, which we have 11 others. So
They're not the same pumps. They're going to be higher pressure.
yeah, oh yeah, higher pressure, much better. Yeah, well, we know they're going to be better. I mean, we're just trying to improve all of ours. We're working on those now, so we're trying to go. So it's just going to be part of our program.
Yeah, and I think I want to just make sure everybody sort of understands. We already have a mechanism and personnel by which we manage the existing sewer system in the town. So this is just an extension of that. So we're not hiring incrementally.
No.
There's no, you know what I mean? Like this is part of the existing sort of infrastructure and mechanism that we have. So I want to make sure it's clear for the
Except
public.
in this case, it's for private benefit with that association.
Well, I'd argue for the town's benefit, but yeah.
I think
the next thing.
if I could just, sir, also I think what Mr. Tribini said, in terms of ratepayers. So we mentioned the special assessment. The unit owners are also going to be responsible for sewer dues, which are going to, in the aggregate, be about $150,000 per year, which will be imposed per unit. So that when we say ratepayers, it's the unit owners paying the sewer fees that will fund the infrastructure.
Now, there is going to be a cost to acquire the right-of-way from the county and all the surveying.
No,
and
because we're putting it in. So no.
There's no cost?
No, we're gonna. No, because it's in the right of way. So they have to. So again, we're when we do this, even though they're paying for it, we're putting it in. So we don't go through the same processes that a private ownership would do. So no, we wouldn't pay any. It's right down the right of way. We're not gonna go outside.
No
the right.
franchise agreements or anything.
No, we
like
don't
that
need anything
involved?
like that. Nope. No, we're good. We're outside of that. And then the overall cost is paying for the hookups. So that overall cost that they're paying is paying for the hookups for our Bayshore reclamation there, not reclamation, sewer plant. They're actually charging for each one of the hookups. So this is all going and being paid for by CHA.
Okay, and the surveying, everything is on the cost of the town?
That's under the cost of what this is going to cost us building wise.
The developer.
Yep, the developer's paying it, but we're doing it. So we're going to be putting the people out there to do it. It's going to go through the public process for building, but it's going to be paid for by the developer.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. The other thing is, guys, there's one thing I have to say is both committee as well as the planning board is the primary focus is to be for public health and safety. We think for the past 2 years, you totally ignored public safety and public health when it came to this project. All right, we really felt shorthanded. A group of people had to hire their own engineers to contest your professionals at our own expense. Not fair. All right, and you got to give these people a credit for bringing you guys up to speed with what has to be done in this town, and it was totally wrong.
I
All right,
appreciate your.
these guys deserve some credit, and I'm behind the scenes. I seen the time and the effort that they spent in the research. You got to see the stuff that we came up with. The lagoon area itself, I found an instance, and I hope you can listen to me for just a split second, 2,600 cases of Legionnaires from 2 disposal plants between 2013 and 2018, all with 36 agencies confirming. Happened in the Netherlands, but it's the same crap, I have to say crap, excuse me, but it's the same stuff that was in that lagoon. Thank God you're getting rid of it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Kristen Solero, 5 Hopbrook Lane. So I just want to reflect a little bit on this process because, as you know, we've been very involved. It's been something. You know, part of, or you know, we felt like we would come to the meetings. You know, we got a notice in the mail, and 2 days later, we feel like we're in the fight of our lives here. Okay, so we go to these meetings. Whoever is up on that stand, you sat up there acting like we're crazy. You know, denying our concerns, telling us at every turn that we have no argument, no path forward, and that our hands are tied. You don't know how many times we heard that. And we're, you know, believe me, I wanted to come to every meeting saying, these guys got it, you know, like, it makes sense. And it never happened. And we just left more and more angry. So, like my father-in-law just said, we then had to go it on our own. We had to organize, we had to hire professionals, spend money, spend lots of time trying to protect ourselves and the environment when we thought that that's what you would be doing. So, so the frustration grew, okay? And Scott, you know, to your point, there was a lot of frustration going around. So, congratulations on this agreement. If this force main goes forward, guys, we see you can make tweaks, finish the job, okay? Let's make it pretty. Let's make it something we're proud of. Let's maximize the benefit to the community. When they talk about like bike paths or whatever, is that just a renaming of the ring road, or is it like a legitimate new bike path? Are we going to have good sports fields? What happens to the sports to the ball field that's there now? We have an opportunity here, guys. So, you know, to the extent that we can help and cooperate, we look forward to it. Thank you again. It's been a lot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See a gentleman in the back. Lance.
How you doing, Lance? Loopy, Line Road. I'm still not really sure how I feel about this. So I'm going to just ask questions and I'll allow you to answer them. The trust fund, I don't know where that money came from, right? It said $8 million, $8.5 million. I don't remember the exact figure. Okay. Where that came from, why we could lose it, why we're going to contribute 20% over $6.5 million and not $5.5 million if they're paying the $1 million. So the town's going to float a 30-year bond to cover the cost of this for the developer. What happens if there's any kind of default? Who's on the hook? I guess we are, because our name's on the bond that's going to be floated. I'm going to ask all my questions and then I'll wait for responses. The ambulance, not against public safety. I question how we get to a round number 375 seems odd. I question some of the things that are on there. Do we really need solar panels on the roof of the ambulance? You know, is that a nice to have, or is that a necessity? We're paying $13,000 for 22 flashing lights. Seems like a lot of money. It just seems like a lot of things on there are, you know, strains that we need. Do we need to spend lots of money on graphics? You know, the flashing lights, aren't they enough? The Mach-E's, the electric cars, do we have charging stations on site, or do we need to build those? How far are we traveling in these Mach-E's? It sounds like not far. Sounds like we're doing local trips. Why does each one need a $5,000 battery upgrade for extended range if we're doing short distance trips? And then there's a shared service agreement, I guess, with Neptune. I guess we're going to provide services to them. They're going to pay us $30,000. I'm assuming that's part of the reason why we're having an IT hire, and that $30,000 cost will offset some of that. So the answer to that is no. Okay. All right. I have lots of other questions, but I'm sure I'm nearing my 3 minutes. You kind of sidetracked me when you got to this this new thing that it seems like we're paying for. We're laying out the money. So.
Sorry, gotcha. So there's a bunch there, so let me try to get them one at a time.
Yeah.
But I think first, probably easiest, if you will, Chris, if you could speak to Lance's questions around the cars, the travel, etc.
So one is the IT's car, so they are replacing a car that they have now that they travel around town, plus they'll be doing those shared services. Some of those costs will go towards that shared service. Those that cost for that vehicle, stuff we upgraded to. The other one would be for our fire inspectors. They're replacing a 2008 Crown Victoria, which is in pretty rough shape. That too is they go to classes and stuff like that as well. So the extended battery was there because it was available, and we thought it would be good for the all-wheel drive because they do go in it doesn't matter what weather. You know, our people work no matter what happens. It's rare we close, so we went with the larger, the bigger battery, the longer extended battery. Plus, we have to charge less because we are putting one station in here. We're actually going to get a grant for that, and it's going to be used between the two cars. So it's going to be just a private one for those vehicles for now until we decide what we're going to do. If we're going to do charging stations throughout the town. So that covers those two questions. Okay. All right. Now, any more I could answer?
Is there an ambulance question in there?
Well, I just questioned some of the, extras. Seems like some of those things are extras versus necessity, right? Seems like we are, we're averse to spending the developers' money prior to this announcement tonight, right? Seems like we were kind of averse. We give them the pilot because, they wouldn't take the deal if we didn't give them the pilot. They needed to have that extra money to make it more attractive to them. But some of the things on the ambulance, it seems like, are not necessary, right? They're not mandatory that we have certain things, 360-degree camera system, and we have mirrors and, other things, safety precautions, beepers, things like that. But it just seems like some of those things, when I read through all the line items, and I don't know if anyone read through all of the line items of the work order on the ambulances, whether we needed all those things or was that part of the package, why we needed to upgrade to an F550 versus the F450, right? Just seems like there could have been some cost savings there.
Gotcha.
Again, a lot of money.
I
right?
hear you.
$375,000, a lot of money.
Absolutely. And 100%.
And again, odd that it's a round number like that, 300. Matt, it's funny how all those numbers on there's like 40 or 50 items on that list, and somehow or another they all added up to exactly $375,000. Funny how the math worked on that.
Listen, I can't speak to that.
I probably could answer that one the easier way, but
sure.
It's probably my easiest answer. That's under a co-op, so it's a co-op price. So they come up with that price, and the reason we go through the co-op is because it's easier to get one of them through that co-op than it is to try to bid it out, and they usually come with certain options and stuff like that. I can't speak to what the squad had asked for. They handle that. That's their expertise, not mine. I mean, it's been a long time since I've spec'd out an ambulance, so we kind of depend on them to make that determination of what they need and what they think they need. Things have gotten very expensive, though. I mean, fire trucks probably 3 times as much as they used to be. Ambulances are 3 times as much as they used to be. So the cost is through the roof, and I try to always tell people this. I could, what a K-12 store is, I'm sure. A K-12 store you can buy at Home Depot, and you can probably get it for $300-400. That same saw, and they put somebody's name on it because it has to be used either for fire or EMS. It's going to cost you $1,200.
So, Chris,
right? Yes.
While I don't mean to put you on the spot, guys, but Chief, would you mind? Could you speak to some of this stuff, or you want to just maybe cover it after the meeting? I hate putting you on the spot, but it's helpful to have the expertise
I'm not saying it's
in-house.
not important. I'm just questioning that. There's a lot of things on there that seem like they could passably have been lowered our costs a little bit. I mean, we're all trying to. I think we agree. We're all trying to be stewards of the town's money, right? Every dollar that gets paid for that ambulance comes out of everyone, almost everyone up there's, and everyone out here's pocket.
Comes out of all our pockets, yeah.
Well, not everyone up there, as a
Oh,
town
sorry.
resident,
All right,
right? That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
so
okay.
almost everyone up there and
Yeah.
everyone out here comes out of our pocket. So I'm just, and I know that we're all want to be stewards of the town's dollars,
Yeah.
so I'm just questioning, is every one of those items on there absolute necessity, or could there have been some opportunity for some savings somewhere? And there's a lot of items on this, this 50 pages of spending on the consent agenda for tonight, going back to one of the other Ron's point, we just kind of zip through all these things and no one really challenges any of these things. I don't know if you guys sit during your executive session and maybe not read through all those line items, but I see a lot of things pop out at me and I just have to question them. The Mach-E, hey, did you guys know that it has a karaoke feature? Did you see that on the bill of sale? It's on there. It has a karaoke feature.
I'm pretty comfortable stating that we won't be using that feature.
I'm just letting you know that it is there.
Yeah.
Are we sure
So,
about that?
I'm just questioning our money. It's my money. It's your money. It's everyone's here money. So I just want to make sure that we're doing what's best with it. And I know that's your intentions, but sometimes some of these things are, small line items that you may not have the opportunity to review. You all have busy lives outside of here, so.
Listen, we're up here to be challenged, so I don't have any issue with questions at all. But I do want to get to your questions related to the trust fund, and then so the trust fund, and I don't recall the exact mechanism, Mike, so I will turn to you. It is funded by developers who seek to develop in the town. And that is money that, with interest, has grown over the years, which by the end of this year will be approaching $8 million. The state does have, I think, I don't know what their parameters for being able to sort of take it, but claw it back, or not even claw it back, it's not theirs to begin with, but they do have that right. But I will let somebody better informed than I am on some of the details speak to that.
You're informed, Rocco, but there's developer fees provided for by township ordinance, which is all a component of the affordable housing process, but when developers complete development that doesn't have an affordable component, they have to pay a fee into the development fund. I will say a substantial amount of the trust fund is from the Bell Works redevelopment. They had to make a $5 million contribution under their redevelopment agreement several years ago, which has funded, I'd say, the majority of what's in that fund.
So that's again grown over the years, and its specific use is for developments that have affordable components to them, or as we have on Middle Road, a 100% affordable complex. As to whether or not we're going to be on the hook again, Mike is on the weeds.
So under a special assessment, it's basically an added tax that's placed on the unit owners, and if the special assessment doesn't get paid, it goes just like unpaid taxes. So if someone doesn't pay their taxes, a tax sale certificate gets sold against the property, it can end up getting foreclosed upon. So it's the same thing here. So that's the recourse for the town in collecting that money.
And if the whole hypothetical, I know we're not here to answer hypotheticals, but hypothetically the whole thing falls apart or something, whatever, right? Isn't the town still on the hook for that?
We actually discussed that with the redeveloper, and we are going to have them provide us the financial assurances that the project is moving forward and that they're putting shovels in the ground before the force main construction begins, to ensure the township isn't building a force main unless the project is moving forward.
Why couldn't we just take that money from that trust fund as opposed to floating the bond?
There's restrictions on how much of that money.
That's the 20%.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. And so then why is the 20% on 6.5, not 5.5?
It's actually.
I guess it's more beneficial to us if it's.
Well, it's the total. It's the total
6.5?
cost of the effort,
Okay.
right? The total cost is the 6.5. The mechanics of who pays what where. Again, these are some of the details that we started working through, but that's why we're estimating it coming off the 6.5 and not the 5.5.
So it's to our benefit for the 6.5 number, because we're 20% of 6.5 versus 5.5. So
It
that
doesn't. Yeah,
advantages us by 200,000 less on a bond.
Yeah.
versus bond.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, but we're not doing it for the advantageous nature of it. It just happens to be the total cost of the project.
All right, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, that's, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but that's I think we have comfort. Again, we wouldn't have announced this tonight if we didn't have comfort we were going to get home and not put the town at risk and all those things. So questions, completely understand, and I know folks will think of more as the days and weeks pass. But it's also why we did this tonight, because there is a process still to follow, and it's going to give time for people to sort of drink this in and work it through. It's also going to give us time to make sure our professionals do the right level of diligence around this. So,
thank you.
Mr. Yanello?
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. Mayor Privaduto, you mentioned that Mr. Foster sort of was working on this, or was it like? Can you just give us a little background on? Was this always like something we'd like, or how did we get here from him talking to them, or like was it just?
We gotta be careful.
Already?
So-
I'm getting flagged?
Well, usually I'm the one that gets flagged, so.
Yeah, okay.
I think what I can say is this, and Mike, stop me mid-sentence if I, do what I do so poorly. I think what I'd say is this. I think, to keep it fairly generic, we've been exploring all options to ensure that the development is handled responsibly and in the best interest of the town. And that's transferred from mayor to mayor, so to speak, as in terms of running point on that. I think that's that can't get me in trouble, can it? You just give up at this point? Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, God. But so I think that's I have to keep it fairly generic, but that's the case.
Why don't I just retract my question?
No, I'm probably gonna get myself in trouble.
Okay.
But we always take. Listen, I understand folks don't always feel heard, and I understand how, and understandably, emotional things get here. It's our town, it's our neighborhoods. Everyone here, regardless of where we differ on things, want to do what's in the best interest of the town. And there's a lot of criteria to weigh. And it doesn't always happen as fast as we'd like. There's processes to follow, right? Even now, we weighed the risk of announcing that we have something that we feel good about tonight, but we felt it was better to do that in the interest of the town and to hopefully takes the temperature down a little bit and be completely transparent. So, I probably shouldn't say any more or can't say any more, or I already got us in trouble anyway, but.
And Mr. Collins, this is kind of getting ahead of things, but what if someone bought SS White and said, went to Fair Share and said, we could pipe it now? Can you give us a little more, it's early in the process, but can you give us a little more comfort that someone couldn't force piping elsewhere?
So this particular aspect and the actual agreement's being handled by special counsel. So I'm only generally speaking. He's specifically handling it. This particular pipe the intention is that the pipe is going to only have the capacity that would accommodate the Vonage property, and that the force main itself will be deed restricted so that it can't be used for anything else.
My concern is, wouldn't someone want to force a parallel pipe, a new pipe? Oh, we'll cover a new pipe.
Well, I think the thing that the township can take solace in is, to the extent it's always been a participant in complying with the affordable housing mandates. So long as Homedale does that, in theory, Homedale has control over where the high-density development, to the extent it's imposed on Homedale, is located. And so by maintaining that power, it would have the ability to not support such an application that seems that you're referencing, and so that would eliminate that issue.
And the short answer is, if a developer wants to build 50 houses on SS White and says it's going to have a sewer line, the answer is no.
Yeah.
But honestly, and that's at risk of oversimplifying, right? This is a special condition within a redevelopment process, which gives, which is a different animal than typical development. And so the answer quite simply is no. And to the point Mike made, large part of our responsibilities is getting hit with these mandated housing mandates every 10 years. This was a point I really, and anybody that was on the calls with me knows, I hammered home. Does this set a precedent? Does this put us at risk of high density housing in South Homedale? Does this justify another developer coming forth and saying, but I want one too? Dude, waving me off? I'm getting in trouble. I can't say anymore. So long story short, let's just go with no.
That's fine. Just a commentary, and I'm hopeful we're going to move forward, so not look back that much, but I have an analytical background. I've been to thousands of meetings, thousands of presentations, seen thousands of debates. This process, planning board, engineers, this town is, and I said it before, and I'm surprised even to this day, is loaded with intelligent people, analytical people, smart people, pensive people. This was a mess. The engineers thought it was going to be a new packaging plant. Oh, no, that wasn't going to be a new packaging plant. The engineers, well, they didn't look at it before. I mean, the audience was running circles around so many aspects about this. And then when someone brought up, let's have an on-site, and everyone's like, yeah. Several planning board members voted no. What's the harm? I get the clock was running. Why can't we have an on-site? This process was horrible, and I just hope for you and anyone else that's in your seats going forward realizes this town won't have it. We'll have none of it. We need a smart, intelligent process for big decisions, or hell's going to break loose. And hell has broken loose on this. Really quickly, I'm not going to a la carte go about the trucks and the ambulances and this and that, but I think there's a cumulative message here. That is, many years ago, before I think most of you were up there, we were told with the pilot revenues, we might have our taxes going down. And I know things have changed and the school budget's a mess and inflation is crazy, but our taxes aren't going down. So you have a lot of people tuned into, over the past, and Mr. Emma's brought this up, others have brought it up, do we need F-350s? Do we need this? Do we need a $2 million this? So at some point it would be good for someone, I don't want to make work for you, Chris, but it's for someone to give the town a view, an inventory. This is our fleet. This is what we think we have to replace. Because we just come to meetings, it's 400,000 here, it's 900,000, it's $1 million here, and all of us are in the audience saying, what the hell is going on here? A little visibility on this, I think, would go a long way to either having you guys think of it differently or probably more likely having us shut up. But I think that would be useful because these numbers are big.
And to be clear, I wasn't laughing at your point about hell breaking loose. I was laughing at your point after that, which said really quickly. So
yeah, okay. Ms. Bontempo, I didn't even know about that thing about the overlap. But I have to tell you one thing, and it's last thing. And again, I'm hoping this is history. But we walked around to the spray field. This is the spray field that never worked, where up to 15,000 gallons per day of affluent would go if the reservoir couldn't take it. Do you know that spray field has an angle sort of like this? I don't know about your property, you put 15,000 gallons a day on a few acres at an angle like this with the clays around here, that water's just gonna flow. So I don't even know how that was, I'm not an engineer, but I don't even know how that could be in the realm of possibility. Again, there's a nice angle there. When I saw that angle, so I'm done.
Good. So I think, I think, Jay, what we'll do again this year, we did a State of Homedale address a couple years ago. We'll do that again. Where we reviewed the financials, where the money's being spent, why, how, et cetera. We probably should talk about the fleet, right? And as a comment on that.
We're working on that. Actually,
Yeah.
It's going to be part of our capital budget this year. We're going to be doing that going forward, where we'll plan out every vehicle, every big expense. But this is my first year doing it here, so it's going to take a little bit for me to get my hands around what we have already.
Yeah, so we'll do that, and we'll also talk about the composition of the revenues, if you want, the taxes that come into the town, which tax revenues are effectively flat that have come in, and things of that nature, as we sit and talk with the finance committee. So, all that's we'll have all that together, so everyone can see. We try to be as transparent as we can be. Mr. Little.
Hi, Bill Little, 8 Coventry Square. I wanted to commend you on your proposed purchase of a couple of EVs. Glad to see you're beginning to move into electrification and everything. But while we're talking about the fleet, this will give you an opportunity to compare long-term costs for electric versus gas vehicles. So, anyway.
Thank you. Yes. Any more public comment, or can we go to consent? Oh, all right. Come on, Pete. You guys are like wrestling for the spot. Whoever wants to go first.
Hi, Joanne Lamb, 220 Holland Road. I think I should do a disclaimer since I am a Board of Ed board member. So all of my comments, opinions, statements are my own. I don't reflect any view of the board, so I want to get that out of the way. I'm sure the disclaimer's longer. I can't remember it. But anyway, first of all, thank you all of you for all of the time served. So I know that the process is long. You guys all have a lot more time served than me. I'm new to this process, but regardless of all of the credit that goes your way for when things go right, I'm sure there's plenty of blame as well, right? So throughout the whole process, it's been super frustrating. I have also come to a bunch of the meetings, and in the spirit of fairness and talking about doing the right thing, right? Absolutely, totally commend you guys going this way and making this decision. In the spirit of thing, I don't know if I'm speaking out of the expert witnesses. I don't think they were paid. I don't know, right? But my point is, you guys also had engineers, and I know there was plenty of time, energy, and effort that you guys put into the tune of 2 years, whatever it may be. But ultimately, when the town had concerns, and had to talk through some of these issues, it was not only the volunteers on the plan. I'm not being critical of the people you guys chose. My point is, through all of the heartache, frustration, and everything else, all of the countless hours we all sat through, it was ultimately the people they hired and probably doing the equivalent of part-time or full-time jobs collectively, also for free, whatever their time is worth. Maybe, and I know this is not through a conventional process of how things are done, maybe there should be some conversation about making them whole, because if you guys actually paid the right people to get the job done, they should have come to that answer instead of all of the heartache on top of money spent. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Peter?
Is that something that can be done? Sorry, I don't know if it is or isn't.
Peter Franco, 5 Hopbrook Lane. I just want to say thank you for what you guys came up with tonight. I think it's awesome, honestly. I wish we could have gotten to this a lot earlier. There was a lot of legwork. Is this questions or just comments?
It's public comment on agenda items.
Well, did any of the work we did help you guys get to this decision, honestly?
I'm getting
You
waved
do
off.
not. You don't have to say it,
I'm
just
getting
nod.
I'm getting waved
Yeah,
off. Peter.
we're in a rough spot. We're under contract with the redeveloper, and one thing I'll just say as background is, we were asked earlier about negotiations. The township committee, when it's under contract with a redeveloper and has to act in good faith under that contract, while essentially people in the public are critical of particular terms of that contract, we still have an obligation to carry out the contract, even in spite of whatever we may believe or not believe, and we're not saying that up here. So when we're sitting here not commenting, it doesn't mean that we're endorsing or anything. We're just carrying out our obligations. So.
Okay.
And I get in trouble because I want to tell everybody everything all the time, and I can't.
Exactly.
And kind of like what Victoria was hitting on before, with T&M, I honestly think with this project going forward, I'm a nobody, but I don't think they're the right people for this. And perfect example was last week at the planning board when they were all sitting there and they were being asked questions about our wastewater treatment plan. They hadn't reviewed it. We've been at this for 5 months, and the engineers that, and I'll quote you guys from the reorg, that meeting, when you said that you hire people on efficiency and ability to get things done, otherwise it costs taxpayers money. They did the exact opposite. They cost everybody a ton of money here. They failed at their job miserably, and this all could have been avoided if they would have done their job right. And I hope we could take that into account of whether we fire them on something based off of this and hire somebody that can actually do the job, and when they're asked the questions, they give answers and don't pass it on and back and forth to each other. That would be great. Can Bell Works handle a force main from the Azora project?
It can, Chris. I mean, you nodded faster than I did, so if you want to go for it.
Yeah, so over the summer we actually did some upgrades there, like right at that intersection. Oh, I'm pressing it down because Wendy makes me press it down. I don't need to press it down today. So over the summer we actually replaced piping out there that was and a valve that was a problem before we did the Crawford's Corner work. And a lot of that had to do with upgrading some of that. So that's where we plan to tap in that kind of area into those pipes. So all those pipes have been checked, and that was the only area that was a problem. So our goal is to connect right there into the force main and send it right through to the Crawford's Corner station, which will go out. It just keeps pumping all the way through.
And to be clear, it wasn't preordained. These were separate projects. It just so happened that it worked out.
Oh yeah. Well, it happened because the road was open. It was the best time for us to do it. So
Okay. Also, as far as getting approvals for this force main, I believe somebody said something about the 27th of January that if this doesn't get approved by the planning board, it gets approved by default. Now, does that mean that it goes back to the wastewater treatment plant?
No. So, as part of the arrangement that the mayor outlined earlier, one of the conditions is that CHA is required to go to the planning board and whatever mechanism is agreed upon to make it clear that the force main is the development proposal. In terms of your question about the automatic approval, there is a provision in the municipal land use law that if an application isn't acted upon in a certain period of time, the applicant can say, board didn't do their job, I'm declaring a default. Quite honestly, if they did that, they would then lose in Superior Court because the case law is pretty generous that, you know, the courts don't want that to happen on default and they would send it back to the planning board. So I would generally say that that's not really something for anyone here to be concerned about, and that they do have to take the proposal that we discussed tonight to the planning board.
Okay, and also for the record, so the planning board, so basically it's not DEP that's going to approve this. Or in other words, they're the ones that say whether this does or doesn't go. It's not the planning board, it's not you guys, because I remember like with the treatment plant, it kept getting passed up to it's all DEP, it's all DEP. So it's on us. In other words, it's not going to backfire on us. Like this is basically essentially a done deal.
I don't see anything from a regulatory standpoint that's going to prohibit us from accomplishing the force main as the mayor outlined. I would imagine the force main is subject to different DEP regulations, but that's not in any way going to inhibit it. And I think it's going to be on the redeveloper to follow whatever the DEP regulations are to decommission the plant.
Okay, and then also, this force main, I'm assuming it's either going to go up Homedale Road and down Roberts? Or is there going to be an easement? What is that? I don't need you right now. What about a traffic study for when the construction's happening? Oh, all right.
Well,
I'm, because now I'm
yeah,
thinking ahead
I'd say it's no different than any other road work in that regard, in terms
Yeah.
of how we'd be handling that with our police and the support services around that.
Exactly. There would have to be
we
a
did it
work
with Crawford's.
plan. Yeah, we
Yeah.
would do everything. Yeah, we have a construction. We'd have to go through the whole process we normally do. Plus, Homedale Road's you're dealing with the county
The
as well.
county road, yes.
So we have to follow their regulations, and then when it makes its turn. But again, this can be laid pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The ones who did it over the summer did it so fast we couldn't believe it. So we have a good feeling of who's going to be quoting him and who's going to bid him out and stuff like that. So
Great. Okay. And hey, Scott, thank you. Honestly, really, that was awesome, and I wasn't expecting that. And we're all human at the end of the day. We're all neighbors. I was hating on you. I wasn't exactly your biggest fan. You were a social media, sensation over the last few weeks, and it's all I can get up there. Sorry, and say what you did. And I see you're hurt. If you need help plowing your driveway this weekend, I'm there for you. Honestly, all right. And guys, honestly, thank you, Greg, Joe, Brian, Rocco, Mike, Gary, and Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Can we, you guys okay if we move to vote on consent agenda? Can I get a motion to vote on consent agenda, but I think we're going to strike out 52? Carrie? All right.
Thank you, Jenny.
Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderham?
Yes.
Mayor Improviduto?
Yes.
Resolutions 2026-41 through 2026-54, with the exception of 2026-52, have been successfully passed.
Thank you.
Next is public hearing on ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance codifying the Heritage Advisory Committee.
Get a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Public comment.
Oh, public, I always forget
Sorry.
that part. Sorry. Do we have any public comment on this? And just for context for everybody, the Heritage Committee up until this point has been an ad hoc committee with the town. We're making it a permanent committee now. We think it's been really good to have a lot of diverse voices, to have better unfiltered access to the town, and to celebrate, all the elements within. So.
Heavy on it. Over at least one of them.
No comments?
No comments, I guess. I think we're good.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderham?
Yes.
Mayor Improviduto?
Yes.
Ordinance 2026-01 has been successfully passed.
Thank you. Moving on to departments. Mr. Administrator.
Bit tonight, but the one thing I did want to mention is yes, we did go into a shared service with Neptune City for IT. I'm very big on shared services. I think it benefits us and benefits other municipalities. We actually have another one, but we didn't get a chance to speak about it earlier. But I did get reached out to from Highlands to do some construction permitting work with them. I think it's a good thing. I'm going to put it into an email to everybody to go for it, and I think that we'll look at that one for about March 1st area. So we're one of the biggest, I think, when it comes to shared services. So, and I think it just works out, and it's a good thing. So,
thank you, Counselor.
I think I've said enough tonight, so I'll leave it there. Thanks, Mayor.
Fair enough. Moving on to the committee. Committeeman Bontempo.
Good evening, everybody. Update on information technology. So I'll try to summarize this pretty quickly. In 2025, the IT department focused on a comprehensive hardware overhaul to bring the Homedell's technology up to modern standards. The department successfully completed a multi-year transition for our police fleet, replacing the legacy Panasonic Toughbooks with high-performance JetTAC tablets. These upgrades extend to the town hall, where employees receive new computing hardware to ensure service to residents. General public remains seamless. Ultimately, these physical upfits were designed to strengthen public safety, improve overall efficiency across the township. From a software perspective, beyond security, we've introduced specialized software to modernize workflows across different municipal departments. For the Department of Public Works, we launched a fleet management software to improve vehicle tracking and maintenance scheduling. In the purchasing office, transition to OpenGov's e-bidding software, which simplifies the bidding and purchasing process for our vendors and makes the procurement more transparent for the public. The IT department has prioritized better digital image transparency and ease of access for our residents. To that end, the department has successfully secured new domain names for the township and police websites. Beginning January 28th, in I guess a little less than a week from now, the public can access Homedell's website by going to homedell.gov and can access the Homedell Police Department website by homedellpolice.gov. Before we were .coms, but now we're going to be .gov. These new .gov domains provide an immediate layer of security to our sites and also confirms the public they are interacting with an official government source. Alongside the domain name rollout, the IT Department and the Public Information Office have completed a comprehensive redesign of their township website to offer a more modern-looking and user-friendly experience. This overhaul will make it easier for residents to find information, access services, and stay connected with the township. The launch date for the redesigned website will also on the same date with the .gov site, which is January 28th. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman. Mr. Romano.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report from Community Development. From the Homedell Library, so far in the month of January, we had 5,894 people visit with 804 reference questions asked. The library is hosting children's story times on a weekly basis. We've got Wednesdays at 10 a.m., ages 12 to 18, Wednesdays at 11 a.m., ages 2 to 5, Thursdays at 10 a.m., ages 18 to 36 months, Thursdays at 11 a.m., ages 3 to 5. There's also a virtual authors talk. The library is thrilled to welcome author Liz Moore to discuss her latest work, The God of the Woods, a New York Times bestseller. This is happening on January 28th from 7 to 8 p.m. Residents can join the discussion online by visiting the Homedell Library webpage and clicking on Book Club Events. From Public Works, leaf collection, which has continued through January due to last month's storms, has now officially ended. Leaf collection will resume later in the spring in March. The DPW asked residents to bring their recycling and trash containers away from the roadway in anticipation of this weekend's storm so that neither receptacles nor snowplows get damaged. Large item drop-off events will resume in April 2026. Check the yellow postcard for DPW webpage for more information. That's all I got. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Vanderham.
Thank you, Mayor. The Veterans Committee, the first Veterans Coffee and Conversation event of 2026 will be held Thursday, February 5th at 10:30 at the Senior Center. All veterans and Gold Star family members are invited to attend the informal gathering and enjoy coffee, bagels, pastries. Those planning to attend, please contact the rec department so they have a sense for the numbers. Nothing from the Homedale Heritage Committee. The Green Team. The Green Team is currently continuing to work on community energy planning and gathering information for the local government energy audit. This is a free audit that helps municipalities find ways to save energy, identify efficiency projects, and access incentives. The Green Team hopes to report back next committee with any updates to that. The Green Team is also hosting a winter seed sowing workshop on the 25th of January. I have a feeling that's going to probably be postponed, but the Green Team invites people to come learn and benefit the benefits of growing native plants. It's easy, fun, and important to local environment. Please see the Rec Department website to register. Attendees grades 3 through 8 must be accompanied by an adult. If the event is postponed because of the storm this Sunday, it will likely be rescheduled to Monday, but they will notify all registrants if that's the case. The next Green Team meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 2nd at 7 o'clock in the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. In regards to the Board of Education, congratulations to the 2025-2026 recipients of the Governor's Educator of the Year Awards presented by the New Jersey Department of Education. Recipients were selected for their exemplary skills, inspiring presence, and positive impact on students and their school community. At Village School, congratulations to Laura Bradfield. At Indian Hill, Tom Woods. At Sat School, Catherine Saylor. And at Homedale High School, Lawrence Cogger. The Educational Service Professionals of the Year: at Village School, Elizabeth Smith; at Indian Hill School, Dawn D'Amato; at Sat School, Ninchaka Ruiz; and at Homedale High School, Mary Glennon. Congratulations to all of them. Homedale High School has also earned gold status on the College Board's AP School Honor Roll, marking a significant advancement from last year's silver ranking. This recognition celebrates the district's success in increasing student participation in advanced placement courses while maintaining high levels of exam achievement. This honor reflects the collaborative efforts of our students, faculty, and administration in prioritizing academic rigor and inclusive opportunities for all learners. Our theater students once again earned the Silver Honor Troop designation, a distinction that recognizes their leadership, community outreach, and commitment to artistic excellence. Additionally, several students received superior ratings, qualifying them to represent our Homedale School District at the International Thespian Festival at Indiana University this June. Pretty cool. Throughout the weekend, our performers and production artists participated in high-level workshops and received valuable professional feedback to further hone their craft. From our recreation department, please save the date for the annual Daddy-Daughter Dance. The dance will be held on Saturday, March 14th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Jacques Reception Center. It is open to all Homedale residents in grades 3 through 7. The night will include a hot buffet, pictures, dancing, and much more. Registration opens on Tuesday, February 3rd at 9 a.m. online at the Recreation Department's Rec Desk page or in person at the office. Note, the staff cannot accept credit card registrations over the phone. It fills up pretty quickly. As we continue our celebration of America's semi-quincentennial year this year, Homedale America 250th Committee is hosting a Revolutionary War Trivia Night on Thursday, February 12th. This will be held from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Texas Roadhouse. The event is free, but pre-registration is encouraged. Teams who register before February 2nd will receive bonus points. There will be prizes for the top 3 teams of the night. Come out and test your knowledge of the Homedale and the surrounding area's role in the Revolutionary War. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Try to be brief, but it's not my strong suit. One, I want to make sure everyone knows now we are introducing mayor's office hours. I'll be joined by the deputy mayor. You know, we want to make sure that we're as proactive as we can with the community and acknowledge the fact that not everyone feels comfortable standing up in this type of forum to speak their mind or voice their concerns. So the last Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. we'll be hosting mayor's office hours. I'll be joined by the deputy mayor to make sure that folks have an opportunity to come up and speak one-on-one and hopefully feel their voices heard and see if there's issues we can resolve for them on the fly. We do have a winter weather advisory going on. The winter storm watch is in effect from 2 a.m. today until 1 p.m. Monday. The National Weather Service is predicting heavy snow. The latest briefing from Chief Hernando shows totals of 12 to 18 inches. Once snowfall begins, likely Saturday evening, please avoid unnecessary travel on the roads during the storm and observe caution if you need to drive. The police department wants to remind residents that according to the township ordinance, parking or extending a vehicle into public streets is prohibited when snow obscures the roadway and for 12 hours after snowfall ceases. Violations are subject to a $100 fine and vehicle removal at the owner's expense. Please follow these guidelines to ensure everyone's safety. Move cars from the street as soon as possible before the storm. Salting of roadways will begin before plowing. Park vehicles in driveways to allow for curb-to-curb plowing. Avoid shoveling or blowing snow into the street. Shovel sidewalks within 12 daylight hours after snowfall. Shovel walkways and driveways to allow emergency services to access homes in the event of fire, illness, or other emergency. I also want to congratulate Judge Barbara Singer. Earlier today, Homedale resident Barbara Singer was sworn in as an administrative law judge for the state of New Jersey. Congratulations to Judge Singer on this new role. May you serve the people of our state well, and I know she will. From the police department, there are new e-bike rules in effect. New Jersey has enacted new statewide regulations, creating some of the strictest standards in the country following multiple serious and fatal crashes. E-bike riders must now have valid driver's license for those aged 17 plus or a motorized bicycle license for those aged 15 to 16. Under 15, you're not permitted to operate low-speed or motorized e-bikes. All e-bikes must be registered with the MVC and have insurance coverage. Riders have 6 months to comply before fines begin. License and registration fees are waived for the first year. Homedale Township Police Department will be putting out more detailed information on social media. Long Street Road will be closed today, 1/22, through Saturday the 24th for utility work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. A detour is in place. The fire department responded to 630 calls for service in the year of 2025, which is the most ever in our history. The department congratulates members Sean Dickey and Rich Switzer, who both graduated from the Monmouth County Fire Academy yesterday. The rigorous Firefighter 1 program consisted of 250 hours of classroom and practical live fire training. In December 2025, both Chief Hernando and Deputy Chief Rabikowski attained Fire Instructor 2 certifications. This certification will allow them to deliver better training to the membership, as well as coordinate and supervise live burn training. And then there's another snow reminder, but I think we covered that. So with all that said, that's the committee, and now we can move on to public comment. Carrie, Wendy usually reads a thing. I don't know if you have it.
Members of the public are invited to provide comment up to 3 minutes in duration. Commenters are asked to state his or her full name and address for the record before entering comments.
Thank you. Do you have any? Yep, I see. Oh, okay. Mr. Yanella went first, then Jenny, you go next.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. Do we have any idea why we hit a record number of fire calls? Is it false alarms? Do we have any idea? And if I don't expect you to know, but maybe at some point you can come back if you don't know.
It occurred to me as well. We should get the dispositions of these. As I recall historically, most of them are sort of false alarms, false fire alarms.
I think a lot of it is that, and also a lot of fire departments, even outside of us, are depending more and more on mutual aid. So a lot of times during the day, when it may be a large gathering, whether it's school or something like that, I think they're on a system now where school has like an alarm. They send us plus somebody else, just so we get people there quickly, just in case large gatherings. So.
Okay. Chris, while you're speaking, what's that new creepy camera or something over Roberts Road and Homedale Road? They were installing it today or yesterday. Do we know what that is?
I have no idea.
Right at the traffic intersection, there's this long pole with a tilt and some device over the intersection.
Well, we'll keep an eye. We're keeping an eye on you, Jay.
Yeah. No, I mean you can keep it on.
We'll have to ask the county. It sounds like that'll be.
No, it's Robert. This one is maybe it has to do with the utility line. No, this one is Homedale Road and Roberts. Maybe there's another one. Okay, so they're putting these weird things up over the intersection.
It's not the
I'll have to
license
find
plate
out.
tracker or anything like
No,
that?
no, this is yeah, maybe you could
We don't
figure
have
that-
new ones going in right now, so.
Oh
I'd
yeah,
have-
she's got a
yeah.
picture of it. What is,
Can you
is
show-
that why you're here? What is going on in this town?
Big Brother's watching, man. I don't know.
I'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Not the
All right.
red ones. No, these.
Oh my God, they're gonna fight tonight.
Ron, I'm talking the pole. The pole thing. They put one there too. Okay, these things
Okay.
are popping up, and we should know what they are.
Yeah, we'll take a
absolutely.
look.
Yeah, that's
We'll
the
take
first
a
time I
look.
heard about it.
And the other thing, Chris, on
Oh.
the J and LO pothole reporting system. And I just got a new car with dicey rims, so I'm really going to be a buster about this.
Go ahead.
Between the dog park and Bell Works, on the right edge of the road, there's a nasty pothole for weeks and weeks, and it's just getting worse.
All right.
So obviously after this storm, if
Yes,
you can
yeah.
get to that.
I think it wouldn't be worth it if I did it before the storm, because
Absolutely.
that's what's causing him. As the plows go down,
Yeah.
any loose things are ripping it up, and we have to. I wish it would stop snowing so we get some time to actually get out there and put some coal patch in there.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely get to it.
Well, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Blumenthal.
Hi, Jenny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I would have asked this of Joanne Lamb, but she just left. Who got elected to the president of the Board of Ed?
Peter Reddy.
Okay, again.
Second
Okay,
time, yes.
and the second one, you just announced that you were going to be having mayoral open houses,
Office hours, yep.
office hours. Where? Physically here or on your own telephone?
No, it'll be physically here. I'm assuming we use the
In that
conference room
chair?
upstairs, Chris?
Yeah, you could use it, either conference room, whatever one. Yeah,
We'll use
one
the
down
conference
here,
room
yeah.
down here for it.
Physically right sitting there?
We,
or-
well, not.
No, we have a
not
conference
here. We have a
room
conference
right
room
over-
right,
right outside.
Oh,
right there.
true,
Yeah, yeah.
true. Okay.
But I'll be
you didn't
physically
say
sitting
where
over
you
there.
were going to be. Could be the men's room. I
Sorry.
don't know.
You weren't supposed to ask that, Jay.
Yeah. These are the hard questions I can't answer. Yeah. Any other questions? Public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Lynn Leong, 7 Grandview Drive. I just want to say thank you for recognizing the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. I am a mother of Boy Scouts and Girl Scout. I do want to go backwards just a little bit. You know, this whole issue with Vonage, and I have to say I've spent many hours worried, crying for my kids, thinking that they might drink polluted water. So thank you guys for listening to us, because I keep thinking we spent so much of our tax dollars are being spent for a lawyer that was sitting up here that was paid by our tax dollars, and then we had to spend our own money as residents to get experts in here. So that's just one thing I want to say. Also, Mayor Improviduto, I saw your little post on the 6 pillars that you spoke about. I hope that you guys continue to govern within those 6 pillars and answer the why. The reason why I live here as a resident is because of the schools, number 1. So I hope that you guys will always think about the schools and also for the health and safety of our kids. And then one other closing thought, another question. What is that big thing by Longstreet Road? I have friends that live there. They're wondering that thing is radiating cancer to them. I mean, that thing is massive.
Yeah, no, we had no. You're talking about the big pole.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Chris, what we should probably do, if we don't have it already, is maybe the front page of our site. If people have questions, we should give them the service line for JCP&L or the BPU.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll set it up.
Only because we had no control over it. That's why
gonna-
I'm not trying to pass the buck on you. This was imposed on us.
We met with them, yeah.
Yeah, we actually went out there and walked it, but we were basically, the BPU did not protect us at all on that. So, but I will tell you that today I spoke with our representative, because I reached out to him to get an update on where we are with that project, and he told me he didn't think he'd get it to me before tomorrow. So whatever update is, we'll set something up and we'll put it on our website with those phone numbers, so that if you have a complaint or concern, and you can maybe see where we're going with it next. But those are large poles to make turns with, basically. That's the new standard. It's a countrywide standard. It's just that JCP&L finally getting to New Jersey. It's supposed to prevent outages and help with outages because there's stronger poles and stuff like that.
Well, obviously, the
Allergies
question
back
that
there.
residents are wondering is that going to give me cancer?
Yeah,
I think that at this point they're probably more safe than what we've had before. I mean, you know, if you went with what was in those wood poles, you wouldn't want to know how they don't rot. You know, you'd have to think, hey, what are they putting in there to stop them from rotting? So that's always been a problem as well.
Yeah,
So
and so the point is that the point is not to pass the buck. Of course, again, yeah, we'll put the customer service and I think numbers on the site for anybody to access, simply because we were told.
Well, thank you guys for everything that you do. Thank you for our planning board for everything that you get.
Scott, you got to get up there, man. Let's go. Hey, you're in it all the way now. Come on.
Scott Silverman, 25 Eli Road. I think the pole is just replacing the wood pole. So I don't think there's new wiring going on. It's just, so as far as radiation or anything we're concerned with, it's just a stronger pole. So the wood poles don't collapse. That's really all it is.
Thank you. Mr. G?
Ken G, sorry, the real Ken G will stand now. 8th Street. So as someone who used to spend a lot of time with rage and fighting that, sorry for the outburst, but I won't get into it because what I really want to get to is something else. Follow up on the varnish thing. So thank you for making sure and reinforcing the fact that that force main will be sized so that it's only for varnish, and that there's certain D restrictions and so on, so that other projects or whatever, at least along that path, won't be able to utilize it. So I want to reinforce that's what you're saying. But also, two is specifically with the CHA and with the redevelopment agreement, and then in particular the application that's before the planning board, there's no changes to the plan that's been agreed to in terms of the number of units, the design, anything like that. There's no, this is just changing how the wastewater management plant and so on. All right, thank you.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, and look, so since I got a couple more minutes left, the electrical transmission pole, so, you know, there's two separate systems. People need to understand that there's a distribution system and there's a transmission system. So a lot of times when they, JCP now in particular, but really all the utilities, you know, they come and want to change certain system. They keep telling you about outages and so on. So, you know, you got to make sure you understand what system they're talking about and what, and so on. So they may be changing the pole, but JCP&L has a record of now changing some of the designation of transmissions that goes from, you know, what they call transmission line versus distribution line. So there are changes in there, but you know, they need to make the investment in the local distribution. That is the source for a lot of outages and so on. So it's a big ugly thing, but the problem is the way the process works is once they get to the point where it's being constructed, whatever application, whatever process they need to go through is priority gone to the BPU, but go through it, get the information and so on. So again, I apologize for my, my allergies there.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.